All right, welcome everyone. This is a video all about learning Chinese through Pokemon. So, obviously, this channel is all about exploring the Chinese Pokemon card market. And of course, along with that, creates a really incredible opportunity, as we ourselves are discovering these cards and learning the Chinese names. And then figuring out those translations. It's a great opportunity to learn Chinese or to kind of beef up your Chinese game. Utilize what you're learning if you're learning your characters and stuff. Kind of utilize it and make those really unique connections to Pokemon. So, Andy, tell us a little bit about our method in helping people learn Chinese through Pokemon.
Yeah, we're going to take a very, basic approach where you don't have to be an expert. You can start from scratch. We're going to really do it very slowly and do it kind of word by word, Chinese character by Chinese character, Pokemon by Pokemon. We're thinking we start out with doing 10 Pokemon at a time with the first 151 Pokemon.
Yeah.
And with that, we kind of explain the name. We look at different interesting ideas about why in the Chinese market they pick those characters to name the Pokemon. Sometimes it will be phonetic. Sometimes it will be, a different way they look at it because it's China, it's not Germany, it's not America. And as well, it's really important that we get into fun with water, turtle. You can think of these words that will come up in the whole world of Pokemon that are cool Chinese words. And China is thousands of year old culture. The language has a lot of depth. So sometimes it's very simple. Sometimes it has a lot of hidden and dark and cool meanings. So we want to go through that character by character, Pokemon by Pokemon, and we'll start out by doing maybe 10 at a time. And then at the same time, we want to make sure that if you have a favorite Pokemon, write it in the comments and say, hey, let's talk about this Pokemon's Chinese name. And we're
Yeah.
more than happy to put that in future videos.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, this is such an interesting way. I think it's also for sure tested like my Mandarin, and it again has brought back because like Chinese is all, creating words is combining characters together, and so you learn all these characters, right, and you memorize them, and then you see them in unique combinations to make words or to convey like meanings. And so as even through the couple of videos we've already like worked on, like I myself have looked at those and been like, wow, that's like a really interesting combination to like put these Chinese characters together to convey these certain things because each character has a meaning. Because like for people who are learning Mandarin, they know this. There's no alphabet. There's only
Right.
words or characters with like meanings, really. And so seeing the translation is like really interesting, or like why they would choose certain characters with certain meanings and put that together as the translation because they're looking at, well, I'm sure probably the Japanese name, then maybe
Right.
the English name. I'm not really sure. And then they're like, okay,
Right.
well then this is what it would mean to us in Mandarin. And very rarely is it a one-to-one translation. Sometimes phonetic, just for phonetic reasons, but others is
Right.
like you said, there's like a deep meaning to it. And so not only learning Mandarin but understanding the meaning of these characters, peeling back those layers is so fascinating.
Exactly.
With that, like the first lesson, what do we want to talk about for like the first example of this?
Right. And one of the things that's really important is I think that the most difficult part of learning Chinese is not the characters, which sometimes people go, "Whoa, how can that be?" It's really hard to learn the characters, but it's so worth it. It's
Yes.
really worth it. But just to be able to speak, people have to get in touch with this thing called tones. And every character has a sound and a tone. And the
Yeah.
tones, there are five of them. One is the final one is a neutral tone, but it's flat, it's rising, it's dipping, and it falls, and then neutral tone. So those are the five tones. And it's very intimidating at the beginning, but the bottom line is just don't worry about it. Just try, just say it, and people will help you. Chinese people are, in general, very kind to bad Chinese speakers. Would you agree,
Yeah.
Emery?
No, I totally agree. The guidance that people gave me, both like as I was learning and like to this day, like I'm very grateful for that. Like one, the patience, but also the willingness to take time to explain how to say the right tone, because you could have the right word but not the right tone, and the tone
Yeah.
changes the meaning. And so yeah, no, I would say yeah, they're patient, because I think that they are keenly aware of how difficult this could be for
Right.
a foreigner or a non-native speaker to learn. So yeah, they're very helpful. It's really great, really
Very
good.
funny because, in English, we actually do have the tones. So I will show you right now. So the first tone is like you're thinking about something.
Yeah.
If you see something you're a little bit surprised, you go, what? It kind of goes up. If you see something and it's like too weird, you go, like this kind of sinking, And then if your parent was ever a little bit upset with you, maybe they went, no, no, like this. Or maybe to your dog or something, you might say, don't eat the garbage. No.
Yeah.
So it's the falling. And then the is the neutral tone. So these tones are not alien to English,
Yeah.
but it's not every word you need to construct a one of these five patterns. So it takes a really long time. It gets getting used to. So we also use the system of Pinyin, which is the alphabet to spell out the words. So many people have seen the city Beijing. You know that it's Beijing. You see it everywhere. That's actually the official Chinese phonetic system to speak Chinese. So we will put that in as often as we can. So you see that. We'll include these four and extra neutral tones. So if you want to play with that, please do. But we're just pretty much doing a very introductory thing to the spoken language, and maybe a more advanced person with Chinese would be more interested in the characters, and we'll get into that as well. But we hope people who are just starting are also interested, because my interest in studying Chinese came from the characters. From a very small child, I was very interested in hieroglyphics. It really amazed me. And then, as a pictorial written language, when I saw that Chinese is the same and it's still alive, I was blown away. And, it changed my life. So there's a lot that we'll get into for beginners and maybe some more advanced people. We want you to come on that journey with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great way of explaining it, of it being pictorial. I think that for me as well, what really drew me initially to Mandarin was the characters, and I think also just how old the language is, and it's also like a beautiful language. Um, I think with calligraphy, it's so aesthetically beautiful to see, and so yeah, but absolutely, people don't know this. So again, learning the characters is really it's really great. It's helpful, it's important. It also helps to visually give meaning to the word, because once you learn radicals, which are like the small parts to making a character, and you see all of those micro meanings and symbols within the greater picture or symbol that you're making, it really does help you to really appreciate the language. I started learning my characters traditional for that reason, not simplified, because I just found them so beautiful. But yeah, I think that along with that, just like you said, writing out the pinyin, how you phonetically would pronounce it, along with the tones, is going to be so helpful. I know for me, it's even helpful when I'm looking at it, and we're going through these videos, or we're preparing these videos for you, and kind of like figuring out, okay, like how do I pronounce that? How do I say that? The pinyin and the tones, which the tone will be over the each word that you would phonetically be sounding out, super helpful in these situations. So yeah, are there any Pokemon that we can give as examples right now to people who are, exploring, that we could, showcase for them and kind of give them a taste of this?
Absolutely. Let's start with one of the maybe strangest Pokemon, but it's not Mr. Mime, not Mr. Mime, but Lickitung.
Yeah.
Now, when you see this little guy with the big tongue, he's like getting fruit off the tree in the picture, or whatever. You're like, okay, okay, and it's cute and Lickitung, but the Chinese. What is the Chinese? It's
It Dàshétóu.
Dàshétóu, Big Tongue. So its whole name is Big Tongue. So it's very kind of close. I mean, but it's like Big Tongue. And what's cool about that is that when we think about Chinese, sometimes Chinese is very literal. Like even with sometimes English is literal for like different maladies, like headache, head aches. Okay, that's the scientific medical name is headache. But then it can also get into you know weird Latin things, and it's like what? Like rheumatoid arthritis. Like what?
Yeah.
Ooh, what is that? Like
Yeah.
joint in Chinese, it'll be
Right.
joint pain,
Yeah.
head pain. The same. They don't make it overly complicated sometimes. They don't have that Latinization issue,
Yeah.
but this is just really a literal big tongue,
Yeah.
and I really like it because but I also really like the English licky tongue, like the cuteness of it. So sometimes Chinese is less cute and very literal, but this is a good example. And when you're starting to learn characters, this is really cool because you learn the word big, you learn the word for tongue, and when you get into tongue, you realize that the second word of the word tongue, 舌头, is head. So we'll go through these kind of things, and like each character, we can kind of tell you what it means. And in that sense, when you learn Dàshétóu, this licky tongue, you've actually learned three Chinese characters, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, three Chinese characters and like three words. So you'll see da in other things. You'll see, to in other things, like well, to tongue, the kind of thing. Like
Exactly, headache.
headache, yeah. So and this is like the beauty of the beauty and the complexity of Mandarin, where you'll learn all these characters and then you see them together and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. So yeah, really, that's a great first Pokemon to have as an
Yeah.
example. And as I'm
Let me
thinking about, oh, go ahead.
add to that, which is that what I've learned about language and things is that you learn through connectivity, and like with a mind palace or memory palace, one of the greatest things is to connect an image to a word or a thing you're trying to memorize. So in the future, when you see Dàshétóu, you'll see the Pokemon and
Yeah.
it'll all click, and then you'll get those things. And the other thing that'll happen to you is you'll start seeing Da, the first character, in a lot of places, and you'll see To in other places, and you're like, wow, they use Da a lot, they use To a lot. So then it'll start becoming like, wait a minute, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
So we're hoping, what I like about introducing that Da is that these are basic, not too many stroke characters.
Yeah.
So in the next example, when we talk about the king of all Pokemon to some people, not to me, but to some people, Charizard.
Yeah.
What is that Chinese? How do you say Charizard in Chinese?
So Pēnhuǒlóng,
Yep.
I don't,
Pēnhuǒlóng.
Pēnhuǒlóng,
Yep.
going up.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like it's straight sinking and then up.
Mm.
And if we're going to get technical, if you have a sinking one next to an up one, they blend together in tones. So they
Hold
go, so you actually don't exactly like holong.
on.
So pen, pen is a really cool word to me because first of all, it's much more complicated than the characters in Dàshétóu in the
Yeah.
Lickitung we have above. And but then the next two characters are pretty easy, which is fire and dragon. So
Yep.
there's three Chinese characters, and the first one, pun, is like to spit or to spray, and then fire and then dragon. And it's really you'll start seeing something. So an example is if I was to say sneeze, you think about sneeze, and when you sneeze and you really sneeze, you spray out a lot. Hopefully, you use your arm,
Yeah.
not your hand or a tissue. But when you sneeze, out comes the spray. Well, it's da, which is not da. So it means like to make or hit, and then the pen t. So t is a sneeze, but pen is to here. So in the same way that you sneeze is the same way that Charizard sprays out fire. So these are other things that are fun kind of avenues to take afterwards. But it's just you also start to say to yourself, how do I write that character? And if anybody has any questions about these, please write in the comments, and we'll be more than happy to talk about those. But it's really cool when we talk about the complicated characters and the less complicated characters. Long, which is dragon. Here you see it. You'll see it as the third character of Pēnhuǒlóng, which is Charizard. But we'll show you as well, like the simplified versus the complex, and we can also get into that if you guys want to talk more about a dragon, which is of course one of the most Chinese things like panda bears
Yeah.
and what else? Everything that's Chinese, like dumplings and
Yeah.
fried rice and all these things that I think about food a lot, but bamboo and
Yeah.
pandas. So
Well, I was about to say that Hua and Long are also so fire and dragon are two other characters that you'll probably see a lot, at least with
mm,
as you're learning Mandarin and stuff. And so I see oftentimes Hua in things like cooking techniques, foraging,
yep,
that kind like heat related things. Like you'll start to see that. So it's another really great character to learn. Of course, Long
yep,
is the dragon is like a pillar cultural symbol in China, and so
yep.
you'll see that a lot too. So this is another like really great example of again, you're learning Charizard, but in the process you're learning two other very common characters that are very useful to know. So yeah,
And
awesome.
I think a final example in our little getting people to understand what we're going to do would be one of the most popular Pokemon that people go back and forth on, but I think this one usually is at the top, which is Gengar.
Yeah.
And the purple guy, little sneaky, tricky Gengar. I was actually doing a new game on my iPhone, a Pokemon game, and Gengar scared me, Amory. He was really popping up and making me faint
Yeah.
all the time. And I was just like, man, that guy's tough. So the Chinese of this is Gěngguǐ, and Gěngguǐ is very interesting because this is another thing that you'll see a lot in Chinese for different Pokemon names, which is phonetics. So sometimes they use the gung just to be a sound. So it sounds like Gengar, and they say gung gui, but gui is a ghost.
Yeah.
So it's like the most important thing is that it's a ghost, but it's a gung ghost. But gung also will get into different things like what does that mean? And sometimes the character has a meaning. But sometimes if it's just for phonetic, they have to sometimes be careful to make sure that it doesn't really sound weird with its meaning with the ghost. So there's a lot of thought that goes into picking these Chinese characters. I don't always think I would want to be that person to have to do this job because it'd be very, very, very challenging. But it'd be a cool job to pick names, Chinese names for Gengar, for a Pokemon. But I think I remember that your favorite holiday is Halloween, right? Am I wrong on
Yeah,
that?
love Halloween. Yeah, and which is also 归节. So 节 tends to be like the character preceding like a name for a holiday to signify like it is a 节 is a holiday. So 归节 translates to like ghost festival or ghost holiday or so yeah, Halloween is near and dear to my heart. It is my birthday as well, and so yeah, I always have lots of Halloween stuff around. We're
Don't you have
in.
some now? Don't you have something now? You have some stuff. You have some
Yeah,
stuff for ink, yeah?
yeah, so I have a little black cat. I rescued her when I lived in California, and so we're currently we're recording this in September, and so and we'll probably be publishing it during October. So this is really apt. I always get my cat ink some cat toys. So I saw this today, and it was this was just perfect because it comes just like this. It came with a little wand toy with some like little dangling bats and a little cute little ghost, and you can hear it. It makes sound. Little skull and candy corn. I have candy corn in a jar in my kitchen all year round because I'm a weirdo that likes candy corn. A lot of people don't like it. But yeah,
I love it.
Halloween's one of my favorites. It's just such a fun, happy time. Lots of good candy, seasonal candy comes out, and nobody does it like the U.S. because the U.S. is the only one that really celebrates it.
It's really our
Um,
holiday, isn't it?
yeah, it's fun. It's a
But
fun holiday.
the thing is that when you put together the Guijie, it's like for Halloween, it like is so fitting for Gengar.
Yes.
So it's cool that then you get these extensions from learning Gengar, learning those characters. Then you realize that that's a character. It's like Ghost Festival. So like Gengar Festival is Halloween. And then things really start to connect. So we hope when we introduce these Pokemon names and these characters that you start to make these connections and explore a little bit more and say, I know that character. And then it builds your confidence, it builds your knowledge, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just and you're so right. It all builds upon itself in a sense that you definitely hit a tipping point with learning your characters to where you're like,
Yep.
oh, I think I can do this. And until then, you're just learning, memorizing, just like you just, at least for me, I didn't really feel like I had a grasp on it until I hit that breaking point. And then like it's like everything started falling into place and making sense, and I started looking around. I was like, oh, I understand, I can read, I know what's going on, kind of thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, the more you learn, the better it gets, the more familiar things get, and the
And if you
more
can
realistic
connect
it gets.
Pokemon, if you can connect a Pokemon image to the characters, and then the characters, the Chinese cards are so cool, and you should start collecting the Chinese cards because they have the characters right on them. So
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
when you see it, you keep reinforcing, and it's just fun. And you can also think your passion for collecting Pokemon can also be like a passion of collecting Chinese characters.
Yeah.
So you start collecting the characters and you start placing them together. And then you'll see that, in Pokemon, you have like your grass and your fire and your ice and your all your different your fairy, the different kinds of Pokemon. Then you'll see Chinese characters repeat. in those.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. So anyway,
Yeah.
we don't want to give it all away here. We're going to make new videos about this, but we really want you to go on the journey with us with this. We're having a lot of fun. We think it's really cool. And we have such a passion for Pokemon, but also for sure a huge foundation in passion for Chinese characters.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we are learning just like y'all are. Now, we have an understanding of Mandarin, which is definitely a strong point for us. But exploring the Pokemon card market, which again, we keep saying, but it only came out in 2022, not too long ago. We are learning and discovering this and unveiling it right alongside with you. And so we just are so happy to have you along with us in this journey. Continue to be on the lookout for our videos every Friday. We're going to continue dropping those for you. And again, like, share, subscribe. If you know people who are trying to learn Mandarin and want a fun, interesting way to connect it all or use it or, feel familiar with it, this is going to be a great, different type of video that we come out with every once in a while to teach more about Mandarin and Chinese through Pokemon, which is so cool. So yeah, we look forward to having you in future videos. And drop below, like Andy said, any Pokemon that you just would really like to know the translation of, and we'd be happy to respond and comment back and give you that info so that you can practice.
Exactly.
All right. See you in the next video. Bye.